Lieutenant Varkesh's 3 hearts froze. The radar blip wasn't just large, it was rewriting the size scale on his display. The ship's AI hesitated before reporting in a voice that sounded like it was trying not to panic. Contact detected. Size exceeds known classifications. Recalibrating. Varkesh swallowed. You didn't need recalibration to know something enormous was coming. Across the bridge, Captain Wren leaned back in his command chair, all smug fins and self-assurance. Another one of those human ghost ships, Lieutenant? You've been reading too many spacer tales. Varkesh didn't answer. He was staring at the velocity readout. The object wasn't just big, it was moving like it meant something. The captain waved a lazy claw. Humans. Barely out of their cradle. We've been bending space since they were hammering rocks. Varkesh had heard the campfire stories in the academy. Stories that always ended the same way, with the humans smiling and someone else's fleet vanishing. He'd laughed at them back then. He wasn't laughing now. The comms officer stiffened. Incoming hail. Origin. Human fleet. Fleet. Wren's frill twitched. Plural. A smooth, calm voice filled the bridge. Deep. Measured. Human. Good evening, friends. We seem to have wandered into your neighborhood. Hope you don't mind us stretching our legs. The words were warm. The tone was something else entirely. Varkesh felt it, the unspoken claim of territory in that polite drawl. Wren rolled his eyes. Inform them this is Cretan border space. Unauthorized entry will. The voice interrupted, still pleasant. Oh, we're well aware. Just thought we'd drop by. Call it a neighborly visit. The comm line went dead. A ripple of unease spread across the crew. Navigation Officer Trell muttered, "Neighbors don't show up with ships that size." Varkesh's display updated. 1 contact became 5. Then 9. Then 12. Massive vessels, each bristling with what looked suspiciously like weapons arrays. And every arrival slotted neatly into a formation that just happened to block every major exit vector from the system. He leaned toward Trell. They didn't wander in here. They planned this. Trell's eyes flicked to his. Then why talk first? Varkesh didn't have an answer. Half an hour later, the comms lit again. The same human voice. Cretan flagship, this is Captain Elias Trent, United Terran Fleet. We'd like to propose a brief diplomatic exchange. No rush. We're patient folk. Varkesh caught the shift. Patient folk wasn't patience. It was a warning. A predator telling prey it could take its time. Captain Wren replied with formal protocol, listing the required authorizations, security procedures, and docking restrictions. Trent agreed to all of them in that same easy tone. Sounds fair. We'll bring gifts. The line closed. When the humans arrived, Varkesh was on the docking deck. The airlock cycled with a hiss, and 3 human officers stepped through. No armor. No visible weapons. Just tailored dock uniforms and an unsettling stillness. Captain Trent led them, tall, broad-shouldered, with a kind of relaxed confidence you didn't fake. His eyes scanned the deck without hurry, but Varkesh could see the cataloging behind them. He shook Wren's claw firmly, smiled warmly. Beautiful ship you've got. Love the symmetry. Real craftsmanship. It was a compliment that somehow sounded like a measurement. They walked the corridors toward the conference room. Trent asked about crew size, ship speed, supply lines, all wrapped in casual questions about life out here. Wren answered, smug again, clearly enjoying the chance to talk down to a primitive. Varkesh noticed something else. The 2 officers flanking Trent didn't speak. They watched. Every turn. Every junction. Every door. In the conference room, the humans placed small packages on the table. Gifts, Trent said. From Earth. Inside, ground coffee, hot sauce, and strange cloth caps. Ren sniffed the coffee and frowned. "What's this for?" Trent grinned. "Morning survival. You'll get it once you try it." Varkesh did. A cautious sip. Then his pulse doubled. His vision sharpened. His hands tingled. He set the cup down fast. Weaponized stimulant. Trent's grin widened just slightly. "Kicks like a mule, doesn't it?" The conversation stayed civil, but the topics shifted. Trade routes, pirate activity, military coordination between alien sectors. Every question seemed harmless, until Varkesh realized the humans weren't learning. They were confirming. Then Trent pulled out a small hollow projector. "Just a navigation aid we've been tinkering with," he said. A star map flickered into existence. Varkesh's heart skipped. It showed the sector, including supply depots, fleet dispositions, and refueling stations that weren't public record. Trent shut it off casually. Anyway, where were we? Back on the bridge, an alert blared. A Crethan scout ship had just tried to break orbit. For 3 seconds, its transponder blinked erratically, then vanished. "Sensor contact lost," Trell whispered. The comms chimed. Trent's voice again, mild as ever. "Terrible thing. Navigational errors in these parts. You really ought to update your charts." Varkesh stared at the comm panel, the words of the old stories echoing in his mind. "Never fight the smiling ones." He looked at his sidearm, suddenly useless against whatever game was unfolding above them. Slowly, without a word, he set it on the console. The humans had come. And the stories were true. The humans requested the meeting aboard the Crethan flagship. Requested, but no one missed the fact that every time Captain Trent said please, it came with a formation shift in the Terran fleet outside. Varkesh walked beside Captain Wren down the main corridor to the docking bay. The air felt thicker than normal, as if the flagship's life support was struggling against the weight of expectation. The human delegation stepped off their shuttle with that same unsettling calm. Captain Trent wore a faint smile, like someone who had already won the game but still wanted to enjoy the next few moves. His 2 silent officers flanked him, eyes scanning, memorizing. Wren extended his claw. "Captain Trent, welcome to Crethan space." Trent's grip was firm, his tone even. "Thank you, Captain. It's always a pleasure to meet new neighbors. We like to keep things friendly." The pause before friendly landed like a threat wrapped in silk. Conference room. The room was oval, ringed with gold inlays meant to impress visitors. The humans didn't even glance at them. They took their seats with deliberate precision. Trent gestured to a polished metal case. "We brought something from home." Inside, strange earth artifacts, jars of dark roasted coffee beans, bottles of hot sauce, a box of playing cards. "We find diplomacy goes better when people share something they enjoy," Trent said. Wren chuckled. "Do humans always bring condiments to negotiations?" Trent shrugged with an easy smile. "Well, back home, we like to bet on a sure thing. And trust me, these help." Varkesh poured himself some coffee, just to see what the fuss was about. 1 sip later, his hearts were pounding, his hands tingled, and he understood why the humans looked so alert. Trent caught his reaction. "We call it motivation in a cup." Conversation. The discussion began with the standard topics: trade rights, patrol boundaries, joint anti-piracy measures. But Trent had a way of steering questions. "How many patrol ships do you field along this corridor? Do your freighters run independently, or in convoys? Any trouble with your outer colonies lately?" On the surface, harmless. In context, these were a map of vulnerabilities. Wren answered them without hesitation, too used to dominating talks with less advanced species. Varkesh, watching from the side, realized something dangerous. The humans weren't here to learn. They were here to verify. Unsettling moments. Halfway through the meeting, Trent's wrist device flickered. He turned it slightly, enough for Varkesh to glimpse a holographic star map. It displayed their sector with precision down to hidden supply stations, fleet reserves, even emergency warp relays. None of it was public knowledge. Trent closed the display with a smooth motion. Apologies. Navigation update. Shall we continue? Ren didn't notice. Varkesh did. Cultural discomfort. Lunch followed. The humans brought their own food, vacuum-sealed packets that, when opened, released scents sharp enough to make Cretan eyes water. Trent bit into something red and steaming. Mild by Texas standards, he commented. The Cretan security chief coughed hard enough to spill his drink after trying the same bite. You eat this regularly? Trent nodded. Part of what keeps us going. Varkesh wasn't sure if he meant the food or the fire in it. Strategic shift. After lunch, a quiet alarm flashed across Varkesh's console. Human fleet movement. He checked the data. The ships were adjusting their positions, but not randomly. They were forming an expanding arc that now covered every orbital approach to the planet. The Terrans described it over comms as improving comms range. Varkesh's mind translated, tightening the net. The first misstep. Cretan Commander Jorvek, impatient with the human smiles, leaned forward. Your fleet is making Cretan citizens uneasy. Withdraw them to the edge of the system. Trent's reply came slow, deliberate. We could. But it's a long trip home, Commander. And it's easier for us to protect you from here. Protect? Jorvek scoffed. From what? Trent met his eyes. From making mistakes. The room went silent. A test. Hours later, a Cretan scout craft attempted to slip past the human perimeter. Its transponder blinked once, twice, then went dark. Moments later, Trent's voice arrived on the comm. Terrible thing. Navigational hazards in unfamiliar space. We'll send a rescue team, if there's anything left to rescue. No one laughed. Private warning. After the meeting, Trent approached Varkesh in the corridor. The human's voice was friendly, conversational. You seem like someone who pays attention. Varkesh inclined his head. I notice things. Trent's smile didn't change. Then you've noticed we're not here by accident. And you'll notice what happens if someone makes the wrong choice. Varkesh's 3 hearts thudded once, hard. Is this a threat? Trent chuckled softly. It's an invitation to think very carefully. Back in his quarters, Varkesh replayed every moment of the day. The polite smiles, the casual questions, the fleet tightening around them. The old stories had called humans unpredictable. That was wrong. They were perfectly predictable, once you understood that they always played to win. And Captain Elias Trent was smiling like a man who had already counted the pieces on the board and found them all in his favor. By the 3rd day, the humans weren't guests anymore. They were fixtures, calm, immovable, and always exactly where they needed to be. From the Cretan flagship's observation deck, Varkesh studied the Terran fleet. The formation had shifted again, subtle, almost lazy, but every ship now held firing solutions on critical planetary infrastructure. Power relays, communications hubs, orbital defense stations. The humans claimed it was optimal signal coverage. Varkesh knew better. The whispering corridors. Rumors swept the flagship. A Talsheri trader claimed the humans had hacked into interstellar banking nodes. A Griven merchant swore they'd seen Terran Marines walking through walls, or maybe just doors we didn't know existed. Captain Wren dismissed it all as fear-mongering. They're playing at intimidation. Primitive posturing. Varkesh wanted to believe that. But primitives didn't position fleets with surgical precision. The dinner. That evening's diplomatic banquet brought every alien faction to the same table. Food from 6 worlds, carefully arranged for political optics. Captain Trent arrived last, smiling as always, wearing the same dark uniform as if he'd stepped out of a recruitment poster. His officers remained silent shadows behind him. The Cretan war minister made the first move. "Captain, your ships are too close to our cities. Pull them back, or we will take action." Trent speared a piece of meat with his fork. "Minister, you're welcome to take any action you think is wise. Just be aware, our response will be faster than your order can finish transmitting." The words were matter-of-fact, stripped of heat, and far more dangerous because of it. Subtle shows of power. During the meal, Varkesh noticed something strange. Every time a new course arrived, one of Trent's aides tapped their wrist device. Within seconds, human ships in orbit would adjust position by a fraction. The pattern clicked in his mind. The courses weren't food, they were signals. Quiet confirmations that the humans could move entire fleets as effortlessly as changing plates on a table. The Cretan slip. Later, the Cretan intelligence chief pulled Varkesh aside. "We're moving reinforcements into the system. If the humans try anything, they'll be overwhelmed." Varkesh hesitated. "And if they intercept your reinforcements before they arrive?" The chief snorted. "They'd have to know exactly where they're coming from." The next morning, every Cretan reinforcement ship reported engine failures before reaching the system. Trent said nothing about it. He didn't have to. Private negotiations. Trent met privately with the Talsheri delegation. They emerged pale, silent, and unwilling to speak on the record. The Grivens were next. They left the meeting smiling but immediately began selling off defense stockpiles at half price. Varkesh cornered the Talsheri envoy afterward. "What did he say to you?" The envoy's eyes darted toward the ceiling. "Nothing I can repeat. And survive." The human mask slips. On the fourth day, Cretan commander Jorvek tried again to confront Trent. "We are not intimidated by your theater. You have no right to." Trent's hand came down on the table, not hard, but final. The smile stayed, yet his voice turned to steel. "Commander, this isn't theater. Theater ends when the curtain falls. What we do doesn't end." The room went silent. Even the background hum of the flagship seemed to fade. The net tightens. By the next shift cycle, human ships were docked at alien stations for inspection purposes. Terran Marines, still in ceremonial dress, stood guard at choke points across the orbital lanes. Varkesh studied the new fleet pattern. The humans now controlled all incoming and outgoing traffic without firing a shot. They could collapse the system's economy in days. He realized then that the trap wasn't just military. It was total, economic, political, psychological. The warning. Late in the night, Varkesh found himself in the observation lounge. Trent was there, hands clasped behind his back, watching the stars. "You've been quiet, Lieutenant," Trent said without turning. Varkesh stepped forward. "Because I've been thinking." Trent glanced at him. "Good. Thinking's underrated. Why are you really here?" Varkesh asked. Trent smiled faintly. "To make sure the wrong people don't make the wrong moves. And to make sure the right people remember who we are." "And who are you?" The smile sharpened. "We're the ones who don't bluff." The test. The next day, a Cretan gunship, accidentally, locked targeting sensors on a human destroyer. The destroyer fired first. Not a kill shot, but a clean disarmament that left the gunship drifting. The humans offered to tow it back, as a courtesy. The message was clear: any aggressive move would be answered before it finished happening. Varkesh's realization. He returned to his quarters, staring out at the looming human ships. They didn't glow with energy like alien vessels. They didn't bristle with obvious weapons. They looked quiet. Quiet like a predator before the leap. Varkesh knew then that Captain Wren had already lost. The Cretan fleet had lost. The system had lost. The only question left was how the humans would choose to collect their winnings. The enemy fleet drifted in the void like a line of black teeth, sharp against the burning rim of the nearby star. No movement, no calm chatter, just a silent wall of intent. On the Talon's edge, Captain Reeves stood at the forward observation blister, hands clasped behind his back, reading the stillness like a confession. "Status?" he asked. "Unchanged," replied Lieutenant Harrow from Tactical. "They've maintained that exact formation for 30 minutes. No scans, no hails. Just watching." It wasn't in alien nature to just watch. Every species Reeves had dealt with in his 2 decades of fleet service preferred posturing, displays of power, aggressive maneuvers, provocative broadcasts. But this was calculated restraint. It meant planning. It meant they were waiting for something. "Bring up thermal overlays," Reeves ordered. The viewport bloomed in layers of crimson and gold. Every ship in the enemy line pulsed with faint heat signatures, but one, larger, triangular, dark as an ink blot, red cold. "That one," Reeves pointed. "Flagship." "Almost certainly," Harrow said. "No emissions. She's dormant." Reeves knew better. Dormant meant coiled. "Engineering," Reeves tapped his comm. "I want every capacitor topped off and weapons running warm, but I don't want even a hint of bleed they can see. Keep it subtle." "Understood," came the voice of Chief Anika Greaves, her tone clipped, already halfway to executing the order. On the auxiliary deck, Gunnery Officer Vance checked the rotation of the spinal railgun. The weapon was fully charged, loaded with a tungsten rod nearly 3 meters long, a weapon that could split a cruiser in half. But firing it would announce their position to every sensor in system. This was a waiting game, and Reeves was patient. 2 hours passed. No one spoke unless necessary. The Talon's edge held position just inside the shadow of a dead moon, its surface cracked and dust choked. Suddenly, the radar console chirped, a pulse of movement from the enemy line. The black triangular vessel had shifted. Not much. Just a few degrees, but enough to align its central spine toward the Talon. "They've marked us," Harrow muttered. "Or they've decided we're worth shooting," Vance added from below. "Not yet," Reeves said. "They're testing our reaction." And then, as if on cue, the enemy formation split. Not violently, precisely. The 2 flanking squadrons drifted apart, opening a corridor toward the center. A message without words. "We see you. Step forward if you dare." "Helm," Reeves said. "Ahead 200 meters. Slow burn. Keep the moon between us and the main body, but let them see the drift." The Talon's edge moved like a shadow sliding along rock. The enemy made no immediate move to engage. Reeves studied them as if they were a chess opponent considering the next gambit. "Why aren't they firing?" Harrow whispered. "They're not here for a fight," Reeves said, voice calm. "Not yet. They're waiting for something, or someone." It came an hour later. A new contact flashed onto the scopes, far behind the enemy line. It was small, fast, and broadcasting no identification codes. Its engine wake flickered oddly, as if stitched from mismatched tech. Harrow frowned. "Not one of theirs?" "No," Reeves said slowly. "Not one of ours, either." The small vessel darted through the alien ranks, unchallenged. The fleet made space for it, opening paths with almost ceremonial precision. "It's a courier," Reeves realized. "That's what they've been waiting for." Vance's voice crackled over comms. "Sir, if it's carrying orders." "I know," Reeves said. The courier shot forward, crossing half the void between fleets in minutes. It didn't head directly for the Talon's edge, it angled toward the far side of the moon. "They don't want direct contact," Harrow said. "They want privacy," Reeves replied. "Harrow, prep a drone. I want eyes on it." A maintenance drone detached from the Talon's belly, gliding silently into the moon's shadow. Its feed came alive on the bridge screens, dust plains, jagged canyons, and finally the courier settling into a crater. A hatch opened. 2 figures emerged, tall, lean, plated in reflective armor. Not aliens, Reeves recognized. They waited. "They're expecting us," Reeves said. "Sir," Harrow warned, "walking into that is exactly what they want," Reeves finished. "Which makes it exactly what I'll give them, on my terms." Minutes later, Reeves stood in the moon's thin dust, helmet visor filtering the raw starlight. He didn't bring a full squad, just Harrow and Greaves. Each carried a sidearm, visible but lowered. The armored figures watched as they approached. When Reeves was close enough, one spoke, its voice metallic, but shaped into near-perfect Terran English. "You are Captain Reeves." "I am," Reeves said. "And you are?" "Messengers," the figure said. "From those who wait." "That's vague," Reeves replied. "You could try being specific before I get bored." The second figure tilted its head, as if studying him. "The ones you call the Korean Dominion have no interest in destroying you here. Not today." "Strange thing to say for a fleet commander staring down my guns," Reeves said. "They want you to carry a message," the first figure said. "One your leaders will understand." "And if I refuse?" The figure's visor pulsed faint blue. "Then the next time we meet, we will not arrive with empty launchers." Reeves stepped closer, close enough to see the faint seams in the figure's armor. "You've been watching humans for a long time," he said. "So you know threats work both ways." The figure didn't flinch. "We do. That is why this is not a threat. It is an inevitability." The second messenger held out a small, sealed cylinder. "Deliver this to your command. Do not open it." Reeves took it. "Cold. Heavier than it should be." "What's in it?" "Understanding," the first said. They left as suddenly as they'd arrived, the courier vanishing back into the alien line. The Talon's edge returned to its shadowed perch, the enemy fleet resuming its perfect stillness. On the bridge, Reeves turned the cylinder over in his hands. "You going to open it?" Harrow asked. "Not yet," Reeves said. "Sometimes, the most dangerous move is rushing to see what's inside the box." Vance's voice cut in from gunnery. "Sir, I've been running passive scans on that courier. The engine wake. It's human tech, modded, but ours." Reeves looked back at the enemy formation, the cold flagship at its center. "Then this just got complicated," he said. The silence outside felt heavier now, not like calm before a storm, more like the breath before a word that could change everything.